can't remember.
Hey, welcome one and all to Spaghetti Junction Podcast, because my name is Gareth.
My name is Bruce.
And we like to talk about things, and sometimes we just don't know where they're gonna go. Thank you. That musical piece is for free.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm actually filming from my bedroom area, so it's a beautiful back wall. It actually feels a bit more human than the fancy little background, which I always had, that was fooling absolutely nobody.
Yeah. Oh, so you're not in your winter abode of your cabin in Montana in the mountains in the US.
No.
Okay,
I thought,
cool.
let me just go back to being normal and fly back here, and there's my bedroom.
Yeah, I know. It's like it's got to come down and mingle with the commoners a little bit,
Yeah, I thought so. And it's also nice because now I don't have to also wear this humongous headset. I thought I'd be like you, and it actually works. So
imitation is the best form of flattery, so it's great. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Right. You're welcome. You're absolutely welcome. Anything new with you, young
man? Not a huge amount. Did my second day of teaching at the primary school yesterday. Yeah, it's going well. I don't have anything on next week because the kids have got something else on at school, but it seems to be going okay.
Nice.
I think did I tell you that my first solo gig is booked? I can't remember if I told you or not.
You told the world you did, yes.
I did. Okay, cool. So yeah, that's there. Just busy trying to get going with trying to add some new songs to the solo repertoire. Nice. They're proving to be challenging. I'm adding Basket Case by Green Day.
Oh, nice one.
And that's a very tough one to sing and play. And then I'm adding I'll Be There For You. Adding I'll Be There For You, the theme from Friends by the Rembrandts, which is also really difficult to sing, but I'm getting there. And then there you go. And then my favorite Luke Combs song, Where the Wild Things Are.
Oh yeah,
that's in there. Yeah. And what else? I Just Died in Your Arms Tonight by the Cutting Crew. No. Remember that one?
I just died in your arms. Yeah, of course.
That's a fun one, man. It's got a lot of guitar in it. So, yeah, these are challenging. So just got the backing tracks and just put them all together, and then I've been rehearsing. So we'll see.
So speaking of music, I'm gonna make you very, very jealous.
Oh,
Guarantee.
No. Oh no!
Now,
what now?
No, really, this blew my mind. This is not a rock band. This is not a band. It's not a solo artist.
Mm-hmm.
It is our favorite movie composer, bringing his music with an orchestra to play all the music that he has written for the movies.
Oh, Hans Zimmer live in concert.
Yeah.
When's he coming?
Boom. Well, I see that he's doing a tour in Australia right now. New Zealand hasn't got any links.
I see.
But I'm hoping from this podcast, obviously, that Hans Zimmer watches like every single week, because I know he does. Because I mean, why not? It's Hans Zimmer. He was like, "Yeah, I don't know these two weird guys in two completely different countries." But I think so Hans Zimmer is actually watching this now. So, hey Hans, how's it going, buddy? Can you please come to South Africa and New Zealand, and we'll be. That will be phenomenal, dude.
That's incredible. He's I've seen some footage of some of his concerts.
Must be crazy.
He essentially takes like all the solo instrumentalists that he handpicks to use on his soundtracks. He'll hire them to go on tour with him.
Amazing.
So the beautiful Asian girl who always plays cello for him, she's in there. Guthrie Govan, amazing guitar player. all of that. That would be, yeah. And they perform all of those. They perform all of those themes live on stage. Jeez, like.
I know. I would weep.
Dude, I think you should just start looking at flights to Australia, man. I think you should just go.
If I earned a crap load of money, chances are I probably would have made a plane, gone past Brendan, watched the concert, flew home the next day.
That's
if I was making
just
money,
quick,
which I'm not,
in and out.
but I would be tempted to.
Aren't there like cheap flights? Like,
oh yeah.
What's the distance? What's the flying time from New Zealand to Australia?
Oh, about an hour and a half.
Oh, dude, there's nothing. Let's jump back to Durban, bro. Float.
I'll tell you now.
No, dude. Check flights, man. Take a weekend and flip and do it.
What you reckon? I'm not loaded. Oh wait, sorry. My bad. I lied to you. From Auckland to Brisbane, it's 3.5 hours.
Okay. Well, see what sort of deals these companies are always doing like flight deals and stuff like that. You never know.
You never know, Bruce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm looking at flying down to Belito in July to go and see Nikki and Damien because they've just moved down there. And there are different companies that work different cheap flights and that. So I'm busy working on that. So I'm sure that you could find it. You could maybe find a deal.
So, I probably could. I mean, right now we're looking at about $400 for there and back.
I bet you're regretting buying that Bluetooth speaker now, hey, aren't you? Sell the Bluetooth speaker, make your money back, and go fly and see Hans Zimmer.
Yeah, that's true.
What's more important?
No, well, you see, I won't get anything for it because I'm paying it off over the next years. So I'm not going to get any money back because I've literally spent nothing on it.
Well, see what you can play and do. But if you do go, I will probably hate you for a while, and I'll be super jealous. So just so you know, probably won't talk to you.
No, you see, I think the only reason that would make it a profitable idea is that I would go and see Brendan and Claire.
No, absolutely. Yeah, you can't.
That's the only reason that it would make it even remotely a good idea.
Yeah. No, that's fine. No, we'll see what you can do, man.
Yeah. I saw with his live concert when that guy did the song from that piece of music, the vocalist for June. That piece of music, vocals.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, I've watched some of the behind the scenes and interviews on how he recorded the Dune soundtrack and the vocalist that they used and the different sounds that they used and everything. It's really, really interesting. Awesome.
Blows my mind.
I'm still struggling to get through the movie though, hey? I'm like, it's taking me forever to get through Dune. I'm watching it, but it's like,
You kind of have to really get sold on the idea. And if it's not what you normally watch a lot, Dune 2 was great. Dune was good. Dune 2, oh yeah. But I mean, you really have to be into the whole science fiction kind of thing around it, which you might not be.
I never got into the whole Dune thing. I know it's like a major thing. I mean, it's up there with Star Wars and Star Trek, but it's not.
No,
I never really.
No, it took me a while to actually get into it. I'll be honest, but it was good, very, very good. Yeah, well. Speaking of Dune, and I can't go anywhere with Dune. Damn it!
No, we can't.
I was trying really hard. I was thinking Dune, which is no, just not even. I mean, if I had like another 5 minutes, I might be able to get a decent little link across to South Africa.
Well, if expropriated land isn't made to work. It's going to kind of turn into a bit of a dune. So, you know.
Wow. Yeah, true.
Bit of a desert. So
yeah, I mean, in June they have a lot of land that can be appropriated, but there's not really much on there. So, and, you know, and most of the time, if you do get land, you'll get eaten by sandworms, which isn't a problem
those things
right
are,
now.
Yeah, those things are problematic.
Sandworms, yeah. I think in South Africa there's nothing to that extent besides the parktown prawn, but they don't really eat you, so you're fine.
Yeah, thank goodness.
You're safe. So what is going on in this beautiful country of South Africa that, sadly, I was only massively aware of it when you told me about it, which is sad for me, though, because I thought that I was up to date with South Africa, but obviously being away from there and the focus is more in your, in the country which I'm in, I lose track. So when you told me about this land appropriation,
expropriation.
Sorry, land expropriation. What expropriation? Thank you.
So the full term is expropriation without compensation.
That rhymes. That's about the nice thing about it. So far away.
Yeah.
This and then later on we'll chat about the good old Mr. Trump, who is signing a gazillion orders blocking aid all over the world because it's America first and screw the world. But we'll get to that next. Right. I have my thoughts, but like I said to you before we got going, you live there. You're hearing about it a lot more than I am. So let's chat about it.
Well, so basically, this bill that Cyril Ramaphosa has only just recently signed into law. The bill has been on the cards for quite a few years. They've been discussing it for quite a while. It's always been a plan for the ANC government to do this. And even when they started talking about it, there were huge amounts of concern because of what happened in Zimbabwe with the same type of thing.
Yeah.
Basically, the government just signing into law that it's now the government's right to just take your land, take your farming land, and obviously Zimbabwe didn't end well.
No.
No, it didn't. And so now the same thing. This is what people are so concerned about, is that the same thing will happen here, because now this bill has been literally signed in, and that's why it's making a lot of big news around the world, and that's why people like Donald Trump are also getting on it. What's concerning though is a part of the bill that the wording wording can create lots of different concerns, and so this is on our government's parliamentary website. It says, according to the Constitution of South Africa, Section 25 4B, property is not limited to land. So, and that sort of creates huge gray areas where property is anything that anyone owns, and that's what's getting a lot of people very concerned. Is that how much right does the government does the government have to come in and take your house, take your car, take my guitars, all of that kind of thing. So it's not just, so that's why it's not just land. It's your bank. It could be your bank account, your pension, retirement fund, all that kind of thing. That's what's very concerning to a lot of South Africans.
That's interesting, because like in everything news-wise, which I've seen, they don't. That's not discussed at all. It's not even like I've never even heard of that before.
Yeah. So it's
because it's meant to be the land.
Yeah. Correct. So what it's saying. So what it is saying here. So Yeah, courts also have the authority to rule over matters involving expropriation. Ministers may expropriate property for a public purpose or in the public interest. And you know, they say, yeah, obviously there are things in place to prevent, you know, things just being taken. But you know, we've seen in history how, you know, governments will say, oh no, don't worry, it's fine, it's not going to happen this way, there are laws in place and everything, and then suddenly those laws get bypassed and suddenly people just get their stuff taken from them. And that is what's causing a huge amount of concern, because no one really wanted this this expropriation bill because of what they'd seen happen in Zimbabwe. And the other thing is that also, you know, so many also, you know, and farms have been expropriated already in South Africa. It's not something new.
Yeah.
But and the other concern is a lot of that farmland, if they've specifically been farms, those farms have now failed. You know, it's not like they, you know, whoever took ownership just basically destroyed them, and they're not farms anymore. And that's also a problem, because farming is kind of important to a country's survival.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so yeah, we'll have to see, because you know, if it comes down to maybe someone just decides, okay, well, you know, screw the rules, we're just going to walk in and we're going to just start taking people's property because, you know, it's in the public interest, and use that excuse. Yeah, so that's why people are very concerned now.
Yeah,
and that's why I
haven't heard of that before, and I don't know why in all the new stuff that I've looked at, it hasn't spoken about that at all. Well, no, I mean, it's just weird that it's that hasn't. So to me, to go on the other foot, if it hasn't been brought in on all the big news networks, does that mean really that it's not a major issue? That I think it's possibly being made to be big when it's not, and when it's not really an issue. Or am I wrong?
Look, I think,
I mean, that kind of thing happening is probably 0.0%.
Yeah, look, you know what? On the grander scheme of things, to most big countries in the world, South Africa doesn't matter at all. You know, we're tiny. We're so far removed. We're down here at the bottom of Africa. We think Hey?
I said, the way that you're talking about it right now, small, down, south, New Zealand, we are actually quite smaller than you, actually.
You are. But you guys, I think you guys are a little bit, yeah.
I mean, South Africa, though, is probably the industrial / financial hub of Africa.
Yeah. But you know, you guys with New Zealand being more of a first world country, you are a little bit more of a major world player.
Saying to me, okay.
You see, whereas, and when you hear Cyril doing his State of the Nation address, and he's saying, "Oh no, we won't be bullied," and he keeps saying the same things over and over at every State of the Nation address, you know, every year. It's like South Africa thinks South Africa thinks it's a big fish, and we really aren't. And you know, to the world economies, we don't matter. So I'm not surprised that you're not getting a lot of that news. You have to go and look for it, and that's why. So yeah, but it is, yeah, it is. But it's not. Remember, it's not just America that's concerned. There are a couple of other countries that have gone like, "Hey, wait a second, what are you doing? You know, you can't just sign this into law that says you can take other people's property. What's going on?" So, but that's where we're going, you know. So how this pans out, we'll have to see. But a lot of people are quite worried, and you can imagine a lot of the farmers, because also they do bring the race thing into it as well, because 3/4 of the land of South Africa is owned by the whites of South Africa, a white minority.
And South Africa is like 7%, I think, roughly 7 or 8% of. Yeah, because I actually saw a stat where it says the white South Africans 7% of the country, but they own 70% of the land, which is what you can see. That does sound pretty harsh. I mean, that does make you want to think. Out 7% of entire population owns roughly 3/4 of the whole country.
Yeah.
I can see where the land appropriation. Well, sorry. I can see maybe where thoughts were going in government's head, because it's like, well, 7% of people, but they own the majority of the land. I can somehow see the little cogs going, but the way it's done, obviously, I'll be interested to see.
I think, and you see, and the main thing about it is this whole thing is the whole thing of without compensation. We, the government, have the right to take your land and not pay you for it. That's like stealing. That's literally just, we are going to take your land and screw you. So, and that's the big thing. It's like,
their view, though, is that white people did that to the black people in apartheid time. They went into the black land and said, screw you, we're taking your land, probably not going to give you much money for it, and skedaddle.
Yeah, so there's that as well.
That's the difficult thing. But I think what happens is, and there was something else which they've done. But yeah, it's basically trying to pay, not the debt, to basically right a wrong by doing it the wrong way, if that makes sense. So because white people took black people's land, which was in the apartheid times, in their viewpoint, well, it's perfectly fine to flip it on its head. It's actually the same thing which has happened with the BEE, the Black Empowerment, Black Equality Empowerment, something like that. Yeah.
Black Economic Empowerment.
Yes. So what that did was to try and right the wrongs of more apartheid / just outside of apartheid times, where black people found it more difficult to find work, and white people got their leg up because they were white. And what South Africa were trying to do with the BEE was to basically say, well, you did it to us, therefore we're going to do it to you, without the thought of the effects on the economy. So,
correct.
And the same thing, I think, within this farm thing, there are, if you really want to get down to it, that they're also saying, well, because that happened to us, well, and it makes no sense why 7% owns 70% of the country, land. They're not going, well, it worked for you, so now it's going to work for us. And I think it's trying to make a wrong or right. But I think the major issue, obviously, besides if people's land did get taken with no compensation, well, that's just gonna, that's going to be disastrous. Also, and you mentioned it before, same as in Zimbabwe, when the government took land and gave it to the local people, the black people, the black majority, basically, obviously locals, they didn't have the farming skills, so the majority of those farms and it's not because they're bad people, it's just that if you're not if you haven't grown up, if you haven't been taught how to look after a farm and how to farm certain things, unfortunately, when you get put into a farm, the farm is going to either flourish or it's going to fall apart. And unfortunately, the problem with that is that if people's lands are taken, even if they are paid for it, people have to go into there knowing how to farm. That's the bigger issue. What you can be black, brown, white, who cares? But if you get put into a farming environment, you have to have the education or the skill set to know how to run a farm. And it's not saying that you are clever or you're dumb. It's just saying whatever sector you go into, you will have the education or the skill set to know how to work within that environment to maximize its potential.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, if you get put into that without that, here's some land for you. The problem is
land.
We have lands now, but what do we do with it? And unfortunately, if you go into that land that you have been given, okay, how do you maintain that land? And also, therefore, the economy is going to suffer. So this is the problem with what they're doing. I can see where the problem has arisen from, and I can see there is some form of a solution maybe has to come out of it. But to the point of, number one, taking land, people will then lose their land with no finances, meaning they leave with the clothes on their back. And you can't buy anything else after, because you have to sell wherever you are to afford to be able to buy somewhere else. So that's a problem. Second problem, obviously, is if you don't know how to maintain a farm, the farm is going to collapse. Now, that are my thoughts so far. Can I play a quick clip from an interview?
Sure, go for it.
It is from the news channel Al Jazeera.
Cool.
And they've done a whole thing on this land appropriation. And they spoke with 3 people from from South Africa, from different backgrounds and educations, based on this. And this one that I'm going to play now, he basically asks her, the lady who is a lawyer involved, land arbitration lawyer, and they're basically asking for like her view on this whole thing of the land appropriation. And then if you want to carry on after that, that'd be cool. Here we go.
Why is this Land Expropriation Act so controversial?
It's important to remember the background of the act, right? It's obviously been into place as a bill for the past 5 years now, but also trying to remember the fact that it's been into place in a different form of a bill from 2008. So it's been really contentious. But there's one main section that seems to be putting a lot of people in a sort of discomfort, and that's the section that relates to the compensation, right? And that section talks about the nil compensation, the fact that you can expropriate with nil compensation. And that seems to be putting a lot of people with discomfort because it talks about just an equitable compensation, and it offers no compensation under certain circumstances. It's important to not listen to propaganda and to list those circumstances. One of those examples would be if the land is abandoned. In these circumstances, we would be looking at where people haven't paid municipal rates for years on end, or if it can be proven that the land has been abandoned, or if the land is posing some sort of risk, right? So we're not looking at farmland in those cases, even though Donald Trump seems to be constantly talking about white landowners in terms of farmland. That's not what we're looking at here. But yet, because there has been so much propaganda around these farm owners, this seems to be the main issue with the act at the moment, being the compensation in this case.
So let's get something straight, Tambia. Is South Africa confiscating land, to quote President Trump, from certain classes which are treated very badly, he said?
there are two main parts of the statement, right? Is South Africa confiscating land? Absolutely not, right? Expropriation of land is not new. Neither in South Africa nor around the world. Expropriation of land exists in America as well, and it happens very routinely. Secondly, in South Africa, under the new act, land has not been expropriated yet. And thirdly, when we read the act, which I need to stress that many people have not done in South Africa, and I would be surprised if President Donald Trump himself has actually read the act, because the act does not refer to race, right? It does not refer to specific race of landowners. It talks about the kind of property. There seems to be a sort of inference from people around the world talking about this act, people in South Africa talking about this act, that it's referring to certain kinds of landowners. It doesn't refer to race. So no, South Africa is not confiscating land. There is a procedure that needs to take place. The procedure almost has 18 sorts of steps. The court has to step in, right? The court has to measure the compensation that goes in. There are so many steps that goes in, and it has to comply with the Constitution. There is absolutely no arbitrary confiscation of land that is going on. And expropriation is very routine in every democratic state around the world.
So, thoughts?
I'm trying to put my thoughts in order. Yeah. I think I just think there's I think that the main concern is that in South Africa is that people are very afraid that laws and constitutions are just going to be bypassed in a lot of ways. And you know, we do already see, you know, lots of communities who have just moved onto land that doesn't belong to them and set up homes and set up shops and set up communities, you know, which is basically an illegal land grabbing. And there's always going to be, my concern is that there's going to be now a larger group of people who think, oh, well, this law is now, this now just gives me the right as a normal citizen to go in and start, and like I'm going to go and do this because I'm now entitled to do that, because we also have an incredible sizable population that is very, very uneducated and is just told this is what happens and you can, you know, which is a problem. So I don't know. We'll have to see. Like I'm just considering this government's track record. They can say all of this. Oh no, there are laws in place, and don't worry, not going to do anything that's unconstitutional. Everything. Let me tell you something. What I've seen in the last 30 years has been, I don't know, man. What they've done to this country in the last 30 years is just, yeah. And I'm not the only person who feels like that. So I don't trust them at all. I've got to be honest. I'm not trusting them. So
yeah.
And the sad thing is that the Democratic Alliance, which is the biggest opposition party to the ANC, have not come out in very strong opposition to it, which is very unexpected. And they haven't opposed it very strongly, and they've actually disappointed a lot of people who voted for the DA in the last election, because they're trying to keep the peace within this government of national unity that was created.
Yeah.
And they're not telling the ANC, listen, you better toe the line, otherwise, you know, because we're in this together to try and run the country. But you guys are taking liberties now. You're not the biggest fish in the ocean anymore.
Yeah.
Because of the ANC got such a lot of people didn't vote for the ANC. So the ANC's polls went down in the last election.
That's right.
And that's why they were able to create this government of national unity. But it's like the DA has been a little bit almost wishy-washy in their opposition.
Yeah.
So it's like, and then now a lot of people are going, but like, we voted for you guys as the opposition for the ANC. What are you doing? So that's created a lot of discord as well. So yeah, and just considering a lot of African countries' track records, dictatorships just happen, and it's like, no, like, and there's no rules, and there's no laws, or there are rules and laws, and the government or whoever decides he's going to be in power just decides to supersede all of that, and the people then suffer. So that's why I think a lot of people are concerned. So
yeah, you see, I look, obviously I don't live there anymore, but for that to happen, it would be a complete breakdown of the country. That's why there is a constitution in place. That's why there is the government of national unity. That's why there are different parties involved. I do not see it ever becoming a autocratic one-person army kind of thing. I mean, that would literally it would be a dictatorship, and
it would be.
do not see South Africa breaking apart to such a point that it becomes a dictatorship. Maybe you do. I don't see it at that point, because that's why there is still a constitution in place.
Yeah.
But I understand though your concerns for sure.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll just have to see how things go, because there are a lot of people who are thinking that basically South Africa is lost. So that's, I don't think it's lost yet.
No.
But considering the last 30 years, it's going to take, if something was to change, it would take a long time to get this country back on track to where it used to be. So yeah.
And speaking on that whole kind of feeling, ultimate, as we wrap up, because this won't really take a long time, old Donald Trump, what should we call him, president? Sounds so strange to call him President Trump. He has been signing. He's been signing things left, right, and center.
Yes.
Doing tariffs and stopping money being sent from America to various countries in the world. And South Africa is now at the end of that boot shot, the end of that action. And Trump basically sent out a tweet, just basically in a nutshell, saying his whole view is that his whole view on this whole land reappropriation is that it's a bad thing, and that white people and farmers are being targeted, and therefore if there becomes a huge humanitarian problem, then you can apply to what's we're looking for?
You can apply for refugee status.
You can basically apply to get taken in by America, but you have to be a white Afrikaan farmer first. I know you can't just, I mean, that's a prerequisite. Tongue in cheek. And in some ways, where are they going to stay? Are they also going to have like some land reappropriated for these white South African farmers?
Yeah, it's not.
Anyways, I just say tongue in cheek because it's Donald Trump. He doesn't know a lot about certain things, and yes, carry on.
Yeah, I think the reason that a lot of people have, especially even in South Africa, a lot of people have come out in support of Trump cutting aid, because it's been millions and millions of dollars that the United States has given South Africa and a lot of other African countries. I don't think there isn't an African country that America hasn't aided.
Yeah.
And I mean, according to the Institute for Security Studies,
yeah,
in 2024, the US provided. Just in 2024, 453 million US dollars in direct funding to the AIDS, what they call PEPFAR.
That's correct.
Yeah, 8.5 billion rand.
Yeah.
How much of that money has actually been used for anything, for anything that it was supposed to be used for, and how much of that money has actually been stolen by our government, by Guptas? We don't know. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And that was just in 1 year. And I think what he's done is he's now given the ANC a little bit of a fright, because they're going like, oh flip, he's cut major funding to our country because because of this, and it might cause the ANC a little to wake up a little bit, but I don't know how much.
Well,
I think he
the
has
problem
given them
that I
a fright.
have is that with people saying yes, it's a good thing, are obviously not in the sector of people who have low income, if not no job, who have HIV and who are strongly reliant on that medication. I can guarantee you. So I feel the people who say that, and that's my view here, the majority of people who will say that have never been affected by the issues that the funding has been sent to do. So I hear you. Yes, a crap load of money. Has the government munched on it, whatever, possibly. But the people who need it are not the people who will go, oh, yeah. Because the people who predominantly will say that have no skin in the game. There's no issues to them because they don't get the funding. So why do you give a crap if the funding is stopped? Because it doesn't hurt you.
Yeah.
The people who are actually hurt by it, who need it for their livelihood to basically live, I guarantee will not be saying, yeah, that makes sense. Just shut it off.
Yeah.
So I hear your point, but it's very one-sided.
Also, the thing is, South Africa isn't without money, except the majority of the money is held by very few people, and so much money that has been earmarked for all kinds of things that were supposed to help the population has just been taken and stolen. And going back to how much money the Guptas stole, and they all that kind of thing, and the whole state capture thing and all of that.
Absolutely.
And it's just and it's like if our government from the beginning, when they took over, when they were handed the country on a silver platter, if they had actually run the country properly and used and been honest and cared about their actual people instead of just caring about themselves, we probably wouldn't have had. Were we being aided by America in the 80s, before 1994? Maybe. I can't remember.
I'll have to read up on it.
We had an economy that probably could have handled this kind of thing without outside aid, or maybe a lot less outside aid. So that's my thing. So I don't know. Yeah, it's a big old story, man. So we'll just have to keep seeing what happens. I don't know.
Indeed,
we just try to survive, man. Hey?
Yeah. No. I said
we just
play itself out, and I'm sure that we'll come back to this topic again. once more things are in the process, I guess. Once things are more happening and they hit the news again, pretty much, we'll be back on that topic for sure.
What's something I wanted to say when we just previously when we were talking about BEE? Nowadays, if you're a white South African, the chances of you actually winning a job interview are very, very slim, unfortunately. Think about me. If you think about me, if you think about a guy I'm no spring chicken anymore, man. I turned 48 this year.
Yeah.
You have to, it's like you don't have the choice. You have to go the entrepreneurial route. You have to create something for yourself. Looking for a job is off the table. You don't hope that someone's going to give you a job. You create something, and you create your own business, and you create multiple streams of income, side hustles, whatever you have to do in order to just survive. I'm on three different streams of income, and I'm just making it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You really got to watch yourself, and no one's, especially in this country, if you're, especially I'm middle-aged. You are middle-aged, that kind of thing. And you've got to, we've got to make it happen for ourselves, because no one's coming to save us.
Yeah.
And we're just trying to survive, and yes, maybe flourish if you can find a way of doing something really well and creating a service that people need, finding that niche. But it's really tough for a lot of people, and if you're not in that entrepreneurial mindset of going out and doing the work to do something for yourself, you're not going to make it,
It's also not that easy there. But that's a whole other topic.
It's not. It's so hard. You've got to work harder doing something for yourself than in a salaried job, because it's not just 9 to 5. So it's
on that note.
On that happy note.
What a happy podcast episode that was. But it's all about real life, so it doesn't always have to be
absolutely.
happy.
These are the realities.
These are the realities, and this is how we see things. And indeed. Well, thank you, Bruce. We'll have to wait and see as to how things unfold.
Yeah, it's not gonna go away. This it's just gonna go. We'll see. I don't know. I've run out of words now.
Sorry, my screen went funky, which is why I said absolutely nothing.
Okay, no problem.
But I'm fine. I'm back. We are almost at episode 150, by the way.
Wow.
It was what I was actually having a look at.
Jeepers.
This I think this episode is 147. Jeez. So we've almost done
150 episodes.
We found things to talk about 150 times.
That's pretty impressive.
That's quite cool, isn't it?
It is, eh?
Clever people we are. But we'll talk about that more in a few episodes. But I just thought we've done 147. Not bad.
Nice.
And a portion of them have been across the world.
They have, yes.
Different places. Yeah.
Alrighty
then.
Well, this has been the Spaghetti Junction podcast. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, and do all that fun stuff. And let us know what you think about this. If you're a South African, if you're an international, and let us know what your feelings and thoughts are. And we will catch you guys in the next one.
Adios, people. Goodbye.
Cheers, guys. Bye.